Portugal, round 3 of the 2021 season. The Bahrain was strategic and Imola was chaotic. This one was clinical. A track that looked simple on paper but bites hard in reality. Portimão. Smooth tarmac, blind crests, brutal crosswinds, and tight temperatures that just won't stay put. Qualifying. Mercedes looked more like their old selves this weekend. Bottas took pole with a 1 minute 18.348 seconds. Lewis just 7 thousandths behind with a 1 minute 18.355. Max third about 4 tenths down, though that came after his best lap was deleted for track limits. We can have a good look at this in our analysis. Perez right behind in P4. At first glance it looked like Mercedes were back in full control. It was Mercedes day on Saturday, front row lockout, Bottas on pole, Lewis alongside, and Red Bull close but not quite there. Race day. Lap 1 everyone started with mediums and seemed to have the same one-stop strategy. Bottas nailed the start, Lewis stuck in second, Max held P3, Perez right behind. Everyone survived the first lap, but Kimi, the original Kimi, he managed to find Giovinazzi's Alfa Romeo shearing off his front wing, triggering a safety car. Lap 7 restart, and here's where things got spicy. Max got the jump, a lightning restart, catching Lewis half asleep. The Red Bull dived up into turn 1, smooth, aggressive and clean. Lewis down to P3. But he didn't stay there for too long. Lap 11, Lewis lined up Max with DRS, and this time the Mercedes had all the traction it needed. Simple move, turn 1, job done, back to P2. From there, he set his sights on Bottas. Lap 20, same move, same corner, even clean execution. DRS tow and a car that just looked balanced and predictable. Lewis took the lead, and from that point he never really looked back. Behind them, Max managed to get Bottas later on after Mercedes pitted a lap later than ideal. It seemed that was the Max can do with the pace he had. Max and Bottas battled for the fastest lap with a free stop they were allowed, and Max took the actual fastest lap, but he exceeded the track limits again, the theme of this weekend. Meanwhile, Perez stayed out for a long stint, briefly leading the race before Lewis caught and passed him effortlessly on lap 51. Finish: Lewis first, Max second, Bottas third, Perez fourth. The Mercedes looked smoother, more stable and easier to drive. Quick qualitative look into the race. Lewis versus Max. Lewis's race was a display of great control. After losing position at the restart, he responded with clean overtakes, consistent pace and excellent time management. Max showed flashes of pace, especially early, but never seemed completely confident with rear grip or the car's balance in the wind. Bottas versus Lewis. This was probably Bottas' best weekend so far, but even then, once Lewis found rhythm, the gap opened naturally. Bottas just didn't have the same ability to extract pace lap after lap once tires started to fade. Perez versus Max. Perez was consistent but a step behind Max on outright pace. His long stint on mediums was clever strategically but didn't change much in the outcome. Still, Red Bull could take comfort from how stable their car looked. They weren't losing out badly, Mercedes just seemed ideal. Alright, let's bring out the numbers, the metrics. 1. Race pace comparison. Well, it was a rather straightforward race. Mercedes looked they were in a different league, much like what we saw in the last few years. There was an early safety car with Kimi with his little off-track adventure. Then Max jumping Lewis at the restart. There was some close racing in dirty air. I wanted to get rid of those factors as much as possible, so I'm taking the first set of 5 laps towards the end of the first stint for both Lewis and Max. This is the phase where the race was normalized. Lewis in P1 and Max in P2, relatively clean air for both, and this is on very all 30 laps, all mediums for both. This should also provide a good indication on the race pace on dying. For Lewis, I'm taking laps 27 to 31, field corrected. Lewis averaged 1 minute 20.476 seconds. For Max, it's from lap 26 to 30. Same 30 laps all mediums in a field corrected setting. He averaged 1 minute 20.646 seconds. Lewis is marginally faster. The second 5 lap set, again where they both had clean air. For Lewis, from lap 56 to 60 on 20 laps all hards. He averaged 1 minute 20.858 seconds. Max, with 20 laps all hards from laps 55 to 59, averaged 1 minute 20.871 seconds. Almost nothing between the two. From the two stints, Lewis' average pace is 1 minute 20.667 seconds and Max had an average of 1 minute 20.759 seconds. Lewis is less than a tenth ahead. The gap is not good enough for any points. Number 2, race consistency, the lap spread. It was a fairly clean race, so this should be a good indication how predictable the car was. Lewis's lap time standard deviation was 12.629 seconds and it was 12.735 for Max. Very close again with a gap of just over 1/10, no points to either team. 3, teammate factor. This one is interesting. Bottas' lap spread was 12.874 seconds and Perez's lap spread was 12.341 seconds. That's over 5/10 better than Bottas. Yes, he was slightly slower on average pace, but not miles off, and this says he had a much steadier pace. Not what I was expecting, and it was only the third race for Perez with that Red Bull. This gives 2 points for Red Bull with over 4/10 gap Perez had. Honestly, I wasn't expecting any points for Red Bull from this race, but that's what the numbers say. Number 4, teammate beating the rival number 1. Bottas didn't beat Max, or Perez didn't beat Lewis in the race, so no points from here. Number 5, into qualifying. On the final classification, Mercedes was well ahead of Red Bull. Let's see what the best sector times say. Let's put up everyone's best possible laps. Lewis, it was 1 minute 17.872 seconds. Max was 1 minute 18.135 seconds. Bottas was 1 minute 17.983 seconds. And lastly, Perez had 1 minute 18.534 seconds. On paper, Bottas beat Lewis to the pole, but had Lewis put all his sectors together, he would have beaten Bottas. Compare between Lewis and Max, the gap was 0.263 seconds in favor of Lewis. That's over 2/10, almost there, but not enough to get 2 points. Next point stream of Bottas or Perez getting the fastest lap. The pole, well, the imaginary pole. Bottas got the pole, but he would not have gotten the pole if everyone had their best sectors together. On these fastest possible laps, Lewis beats Bottas by 0.111 seconds. So no points. But the next one, Bottas was ahead of Max. Even if Max had put his lap together, Bottas would have been 0.152 seconds clear of him. This gives Mercedes another 2 points. Last available points for this race between Bottas and Perez. Bottas was 0.551 seconds ahead of Perez. For a gap over half second, Mercedes gets a point, and that's 1 more point for them. Well, Mercedes racked quite a lot of points from this qualifying as anticipated. The scores for round 3 for Mercedes and 2 for Red Bull. Straightforward, old school Mercedes dominant weekend, and it transpiled into the scoreboard. Points tally after race 3, it's 6 for Mercedes and 3 for Red Bull. Pretty much in line with what championship stands show at this point. Let me know your thoughts on how this is going. Next is Barcelona, a track we've all seen a million times. Catch you there to see if we can find any curveballs. Bye.